This is the literal he said, she said.
How many times did you go skiing?
One time.
Well, okay, you went one time.
Any thoughts on that?
I didn't like the woman attorney's suit color.
Hi, I'm Mark Breyer.
And I'm Alexis Breyer. We're the husband and wife law team. We are trial attorneys, and we are going to be watching the Gwyneth Paltrow Trial.
So unlike a lot of people that comment on all these trials, we actually try cases. We fight for people. That's how we're built. That's what we are. It's what our firm is. This is an interesting one because it happened on a ski slope. Two people, one word against another. We got a lawsuit against someone who's famous, a countersuit for $1. You didn't even know until we walked in here today that there had even been a trial.
I had heard about it like way long ago, but I didn't know there was a trial. And I bet people don't realize you could get sued for skiing. You can be negligent anywhere.
I mean, if you're negligent anywhere, whether you're in your car, in a boat, on the slopes, there's risk that you could hurt someone and be held accountable. So, and I've only seen a couple clips, so we're going to learn this one together. You ready, Alexis?
All right, let's go.
All right, let's do this.
And two skis came between my skis, forcing my legs apart. And then there was a body pressing against me, and there was a very strange grunting noise. I said, "You skied directly into my effing back." And he said, "Oh, sorry, I'm sorry."
Any thoughts on that testimony?
Wow. My first response was just to smile and laugh. Like, what? It is interesting because a lot of times people do say, I'm sorry. But some of them mean I was at fault and some of them don't. What do you think?
All the time. When people react immediately with, I'm sorry, sometimes they're sorry it happened. Sometimes they're actually blaming themselves. Some people are just naturally like,
yeah, I'm sorry, man. Sorry.
Right. And then they start going, wait, you did that.
I just remember everything was great, and then I heard something I've never heard at a ski resort, and that was a blood-curdling scream. Just, I can't do it. It was, ah, and then, boom. And it was like somebody was out of control and gonna hit a tree and was gonna die. And that's what I had until I was hit.
How interesting, right?
It's interesting.
Right now, this is the literal he said, she said.
True. Obviously, we haven't watched much, but I do feel like he seems kind of credible. What do you think?
So I've seen a few clips of this trial, and I think you may change your mind.
Okay, that's why I said I haven't seen much of it, but...
But there was enough detail to that story. They both had enough detail to believe that they believed it. But I also think this, how many cases have we had where we both thought, everyone thought they were telling the truth?
Yes.
Even though it was not even possible they were all telling the truth.
I think that happens a lot. Everybody really thinks that they see something and none of the stories corroborate.
We've had it with witnesses where 3 witnesses who had nothing to do with it all saw 3 different collisions that could not have all happened. Cars coming from directions they never were.
Yeah.
My skis are still on. They're still on. And I'm thinking I gotta placate this guy. He's really mad. If he decided he wanted to jump on me right now, he could finish me off. I remember saying, I'm sorry.
Okay, now you're
Twice.
you're whispering.
I know
that,
I am,
but
because that's what I heard. Nothing was coming out. My lips were moving, my tongue was moving. There was nothing coming out of my mouth, and my heart rate went up again.
She's not that big of a girl.
No, but he's talking about some dude.
No, I thought he was talking about her. Like, she came toward him.
He was saying this guy could jump. No way he thought Gwyneth Paltrow was a big dude who was going to pound him.
So what makes it different when somebody tries to sue a celebrity when you feel like it's very obviously just a money grab? Does that change how you would approach in court? Does that change how you do that?
If you're representing someone who's high profile, you're probably going to do more focus groups. You're going to make sure, if you see it as a money grab, that you think that's what the jury's going to likely see it as. I would trust a jury to figure that out more than I would trust a judge, and more than I would trust a prosecutor. You put regular people on the jury, they know full well one of the parties is a celebrity, and they know full well potential motivations to go after a celebrity. And of course, sometimes celebrities do bad stuff. But if the question is, what would we do? We would want to get a feel for what is the likely view in the community, potential jurors, of how they view this case. Because the case is the same. The law is the same. The facts are the same. But you do change the dynamics when someone's famous.
And I see this skier just slam into the back of Terry. And she just slammed him.
How hard?
Very hard. Very hard. And so Terry, she hits him right directly in the back. his skis actually, the tips go out like this, and he falls face down. So he's kind of spread eagle, and he goes face down, and Gwyneth's on the top of him, and they go down like this, and then Gwyneth hits him and then bounces off and slides to the right about 5 or 10 feet.
I mean, it's hard to look at one little clip. I think lots of times that's what the public sees, and I think it can be taken out of context. But if you're going to believe this witness, he thinks that she ran into him.
The way he talked about Terry sounded familiar.
True, because he's saying Terry.
And just the way he's saying it, right? It's not like...
I agree.
And the other thing is, the clip we saw of the plaintiff, he said his skis were still on afterwards. Now, his friend has him face down with Gwyneth Paltrow on top of him going down, in which case your skis are not still on. So
that's not completely true, because when I used to ski, my skis lots of times would still stay on, even though I went down. And that's why I stopped skiing.
did you have the worst bindings ever? What do you mean? Your
I
skis
was so
stayed on?
scared. Your skis stay on. They don't just fall off.
Someone's riding on top of you down the mountain. The skis can't possibly stay on.
Skis are meant to stay on your feet. Have you ever skied before?
Yes, I skied one time and the skis came off all day.
Well,
Every time I fell.
That's why you couldn't ski.
I had to have my
Right.
skis skied down to me 4 different times.
They're supposed to be tight on your feet.
What were you
How
using?
many times did you go skiing?
One time.
Well, okay, you went one time.
How many times did you go skiing?
Lots of times. I got picked up every Wednesday after school and
Learn something new about you.
got taken to the ski place.
What ski place in Massachusetts were you going to after school?
It was a Blue Hills mountain ski place.
It was a mountain.
Well, it was a small mountain, but yeah, we'll look it up afterwards.
I will say, when I went skiing, my skis did fall off a lot.
Of course.
So both parties are claiming the exact same thing, essentially.
Right.
One
Yeah.
person got injured.
Happens all the time.
How much impact does witness testimony have in a case like this, especially when there's not a ton of other evidence, especially at this actual scene? And how does counsel find witnesses to testify, and how are they vetted? How are they allowed to testify?
So when it comes to witnesses and witnesses testifying, what a lot of people don't see is that there's a lot of background done between the attorneys. You have to exchange documents. There's a lot of discovery deadlines. There's a lot of things that are going back and forth. And that's why witnesses are even allowed to testify. Every state has different discovery rules, but usually there's some discovery going on behind the scenes, and the judge decides who's allowed to testify and who isn't.
Here's what's different about this. Big car crashes leave evidence. They leave tire marks in the road. They leave gouges in the road. They leave broken body parts. God forbid, hopefully not sometimes. Broken car parts in the road. There's evidence that you can then use to calculate what happened. There's black boxes, electronic data recorders that you can download the speeds of the vehicles when they break. But some cases, smaller car collisions or something on a ski hill, there's no physical evidence left behind. So it's just the witnesses that decide the case. So this is not unusual. And here are the key witnesses. Of course, the people involved are key, but no one trusts them. I mean, you try to figure out, like in this case, who's telling the truth, but it's the independent witnesses that matter most. So if you have a really bad independent witness, they're still independent. They have no axe to grind, and they're often, not always, but often the tiebreaker.
I do think when it comes to that, he said, she said, even when there are witnesses, I think the jury still is only going to find for the plaintiff if they like him or her. If they don't like the person who's making the claim, I honestly don't care what the witnesses say. I feel like they're still going to find a way to be like, I don't believe your injuries. I don't believe what you're saying. And they're still going to come away not finding for the plaintiff.
We all see what we look for.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like the person who's claiming they were hurt, it's much easier to find a way to not give them what they want.
You're like, yeah, well, maybe she did run into him, but you know what? I don't believe that you're injured.
It came up, and it probably was Craig who said, I heard him say it was Gwyneth Paltrow. And to me, it's like, I'm not into celebrity worship, so I didn't care at that point.
Did you think it was cool to collide with a celebrity?
Absolutely not. That is not who I am, no.
Any thoughts on that?
I didn't like the woman attorney's suit color. I just had to say that. She looked like a pretty girl, but I feel like you should wear like blues and different colors, not like army green type of color.
Do you think that was a leading question when...
It's cross-examination.
Yeah.
That's his attorney.
So it is?
Oh, that was his
I
attorney?
believe so.
No, the woman?
I don't know, but the tone and the language would suggest it was cross.
Yeah, it looked like a cross-examination to me too. Like she was about ready to be like, you think...
Maybe she was wanting to ask
Yes.
a question to disprove that as his client.
Take out the sting.
Yeah.
So one of the things you want to do as lawyers, you want to take the sting out. If you know they're going to attack your client in a certain way, you want to get there first. This next scene, if you look at this clip, you'll see what I always talk about. This is Gwyneth Paltrow in a lawsuit. The back of the courtroom, mostly empty. Of the people back there, one's on her laptop, someone else is on her phone. Another guy is with a news reporter. He's got his head down on his phone. Someone else's headphones on, so it's somehow tied to the actual courtroom proceeding in all likelihood. You got a bailiff or a cop, someone back there. The point of all this is to say, even something as big as this, no one goes to our courts anymore. The back of the courts are usually empty unless it's something really, really big.
But in almost every trial, you can go. And I think it's an amazing thing for people who are interested in the law or who want to see a trial to go to the court. You can go to any court and you can walk right into the trial and you can see all the behind the scenes, which I think is super cool.
They can come to a husband-wife law team trial. We can
That's
talk
right.
to them afterwards, explain to them what they saw.
It's a great field trip too. Some of our kids' classes have come to the trials and watched us, and I think it's super interesting and cool for them to do it.
Instacare, they say go get a CT tomorrow, and then he posts, and let's put that up. So he's a poster, okay, big on Facebook, so there are lots of pictures of him, which helps us. It helps us understand him. What does he post to his daughters? I'm famous. He doesn't post I'm hurt. He doesn't post googly gawk. Is that the right word? Confusing stuff.
I definitely think it doesn't look good. I think it's something that the lawyers should have tried to keep out of the jury seeing, but I do understand why the judge let it in. And I also think that a lot of that stuff sometimes can be misleading. And when you take out maybe one post, like that could have been a sentence within all the other stuff, but it definitely doesn't have a good connotation to it, for sure. What do you think?
So I think jurors, anyone who's being hypercritical, needs common sense at home. So what? He says to his daughters, I'm famous.
Right.
That doesn't mean he's not hurt. If it was really from him to his daughters, which is odd to call it a post, but if you're just saying to your kids, I'm famous, you know who I get. But it sounds bad if you, again, you see what you look for. If you think this guy is a scammer,
Yeah.
that's proof of it. I don't attach much to that on its own. Now, if there's a lot of other evidence, you start going, okay, put it all together, we got a problem, that's different.
One of the things that I love when you do when you're in trial.
You love
is-
something I do in trial.
Yeah. They'll start with I'm famous. And that's the only thing that the other lawyer brings up. And then you'll stand up and you'll say, why don't you read the next few lines? And then it's like, oh, okay, there's more to that story.
Yeah.
Because when you're getting cross-examined, you're only looking at that one little part. So I think it's really cool. And you can then bring up the other deposition testimony and things like that. And you're like, wait, keep reading. You've literally said to them, keep reading so we can see the rest of it.
What advice have you given to your clients in the past about when they're in a trial, in the midst of a trial, about what they're posting on social media, how to protect themselves?
The problem is not the midst of trial. The problem with social media is people post it from the moment they're in the incident to before they hire a lawyer, and they're not thinking someone is going to try to twist this against me.
But when people come to us, we tell them, you need to understand that people are going to be looking at everything you wrote one day and everything you posted. So don't do it. Even if you make your account private, they can still get it. So don't post things on YouTube. Don't post things on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever it is. Don't do it. Even if you're messaging to your spouse, friend, whomever it is, they can get that also. So this stuff, when you go into a lawsuit, it's all discoverable. It's stuff that you wish that you hadn't done and posted. And lots of times when we tell clients to do it, they still do it. And we're like, remember that one, the ski one we had? The guy was really hurt. He had a rotator cuff surgery. It was bad. And he posted something of him doing those skis up in the air. And he's like going flips and flips. He was really good. And you're watching this guy do flips in the air. Those, I forget what they're called, but it's like the air.
It's like a wakeboard.
Yeah.
Has these powerful jets underneath it.
Yes.
And he was doing flips in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's pointing out, he's like, look, I can't even move my arm.
Yeah.
Okay, but dude, what you just posted is
more than anybody can do. You're flipping in the air. You look fine.
and
look
you
like
posted you went down to Mexico, had your trip. He's like, I waited all year for that trip.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of money for that trip. I made the best of it. I was in pain.
Yeah.
But the video looked so bad.
So bad.
Even though I totally believe him.
No, me
That,
too.
you know, he made the best. He was a tough guy and he wasn't going to let it ruin him.
Yeah.
But that video was so harmful because if you even post, it's 4 weeks after a collision, you've had surgery and you go, going to see a movie. If you wrote everything, you go, I want some semblance of my life back. I'm going to go to the movie theater for the first time in a month. I left early. I had a headache. It was awful, but I'm glad but you don't post that. All you post is going to a movie. Now, 2 years later, it's like you were fine after a month for this one.
Had been a very
It's the kind of
high
expert
functioning, high energy person. He was every day doing lots of things, meetup groups, skiing, wine tasting, volunteering for various organizations and so forth. But after his accident, he deteriorated abruptly. And many of the activities that he used to do, he stopped doing, like dancing, for the most part, his skiing activities. His personal interactions with his children and his grandchildren suffered.
You know why that was interesting to me?
Why?
What they're saying is he had a traumatic brain injury. And they're using a neuroradiologist to come in to say he had a traumatic brain injury. But that clip, and we're only seeing the clip, wasn't about here is where we see in the scan the damage to the brain that's indicative of a mild traumatic brain injury. That correlates with this. We just see him talking about, in effect, things that were subjectively reported. He was saying before the collision, he was this super active guy. And afterwards, here's all the things that fell apart.
Right.
But that's not usually the testimony of a neuroradiologist.
Right. Normally they're looking at the scans and saying this is where the
Objective evidence of what you've heard subjectively.
Yeah.
You learned that Mr. Sanderson broke 4 ribs.
Yes.
Okay. And that he sustained a concussion.
Correct.
Okay. That he was taken down on a toboggan.
Yes.
Did you learn of that day?
No.
Did you inquire?
What is your name again? Sorry. Kristen?
Yes.
Sorry, I was going to say, Kristen,
It's all right.
I think you have to keep in mind when you're the victim of a crash, right, your psychology is not necessarily thinking about the person who perpetrated it.
So the answer to my question is no, you did not inquire.
I did not.
I understand that. Why, if you're in an accident, you don't ask how the other person is. Like, you're more shocked, you're more worried about what's going on. I do think that Gwyneth came off a little bit defensive. Again, being judgmental, like you said before, I would think just as an actress, you would remember the person's name because you're remembering so much stuff.
You think she was pretending that she didn't?
I don't know. I'm just surprised at that. Like, how did you not remember the lawyer's
But
name?
usually you don't see when I'm on cross-examination. Usually people don't go, well, Mark.
When you're in a jury and you're a plaintiff or defendant, you're in the courtroom the entire time. Like, they say the person's names over and over again. But I do understand why she didn't say, what are you doing?
It's a way to try to make her out as some cold, uncaring person, but you'll need more than that, right? Maybe they had more than that, but you need more than that.
Communication just feels like I can't connect. And so I keep trying, desperately trying. And personality changes is not something I just know it's different. Things are weird. I've never been so needing maps. And so I'm pretty sure I've lost visual memory because it doesn't, knowing those turns and the houses where you turn, the streets you turn at, that feels like, and I know a little bit about that, that feels like a deficit I have, I don't retain that anymore. I can be there a dozen times and I still have to use maps to make sure I get there. Really odd.
Here's the problem with mild traumatic brain injury. Even when it's real, you can have massive deficits, but you appear just as smart.
Yeah.
Your word choice is just as strong.
Yeah.
So you can never win it through your client. So he's explaining what happened to him, but he looks fine.
Yeah.
So for them to win the case, and again, I don't know what else is here that we're not seeing, but generally you don't want your client explaining their deficit. Someone else has to explain it because I'm not saying it's not true.
Yeah.
But it's harder to believe when he looks fine.
Yeah. These types of injuries are very difficult to win at trial. I think the ribs show that he did get broken ribs, so it shows that he was hurt, but it's very hard to believe for a lot of people that you got run into and now you have this traumatic brain injury. Unless there's something very specific on the scans, I think it's hard to believe.
Or you can get neuropsychology testing and it shows this unexpected deficit. But it's hard to win through the testimony only of the person who's hurt.
She's a catch. Why'd you let her go?
In my choice, I wouldn't have, but I had to, after 8 months, I had to tell her to leave. I said, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you gotta leave. And
Why'd you tell her to leave?
I knew she didn't buy into this. She didn't buy in to me not being the same person and coming into a relationship. And I said, I'm not sure I'm going to get back to normal again. And I don't want you to feel like that I'm a crippled vet and you're going to stick it out with me, because I know you would. Half a brain or whatever. I know you would, but don't do it. You need your life. You run right now. And it was a sad time for both of us, I know. And she's in a great relationship with Bill now. And that was the purpose. And I think better than what I would have brought, honestly. It's hard to admit that, but it's true.
$1 in symbolic damages. Is that accurate?
It's an actual dollar that I'm asking for.
Okay, but you also have testified when I asked you questions in your deposition that $1 is symbolic. Do you remember me asking you about that?
It's symbolic because the damages would actually be more.
Okay. But remember me asking you, is it symbolic? And you said, yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay. And I asked you as well, you learned about that through Taylor Swift because she asked for $1 in symbolic damages, right?
And I think I said at that point I had not been familiar with it, but I since am.
Now you are.
Yes.
But at the time, a couple years ago in 2020, you didn't know anything about Taylor Swift's $1 symbolic damage lawsuit?
I was not aware at the time.
Okay. Are you good friends with Taylor Swift?
No.
Relevance? Overruled?
You're not good friends with Taylor Swift?
I would not say we're good friends. We are friendly. I've taken my kids to one of her concerts before, but we don't talk very often.
Woo, there's some things going on there.
Lots of stuff.
So there are advantages to countersuing. When you file a lawsuit, depending on the jurisdiction you're in, you go first, the person you sued goes second, you go last. By countersuing, you get to go again in closing. So you give yourself, with every witness and in closing, another bite at the apple. Every time a pleading is filed, you give yourself another bite at the apple. And it's a way to say to the jury, we're saying he ran into us. So, we're going to sue for $1. Why $1? She doesn't need the money.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting strategy because it's also belittling him making a claim. Because you're like, look, I was hurt. I went through everything that you did, and I'm not asking for all this money. I'm asking for $1. Like, it's just a ski accident. Who cares? I think that that's a great strategy. I'm not sure about the whole girlfriend thing. Like, why would you tell your girlfriend to leave? That doesn't seem that
didn't resonate to you.
No, but then again, I don't know. I mean, I feel like Gwyneth doesn't seem so likable.
We only saw
But
clips.
I only saw different clips. I mean, every time I see her in the movie, she looks great, but it just seemed like they both had their things. But normally, if juries don't like both people, they usually always come back for the defendant.
Sure, because we're not giving anyone anything.
It's just the easiest thing to do.
Everybody go home. So when it comes to witnesses and how they testify, here's the reality. A witness has lived their whole life. They have the personality they have. Think of your brothers, your sisters, your friends. They are who they are. Now they're involved in something. Now they're going to trial. An entire personality, lifetime, everything else. And all of a sudden they're going to testify. There are things a lawyer can do to help guide that. But in the end, you're still working with the clay you're given. So my guess is when we saw Gwyneth Paltrow there, that was not so much her lawyer's perfect rendition of her, but him stepping back and instead of trying to manipulate that and have her act, because if anything, it doesn't feel like she's acting, right? It felt like we got to see a window into who she is. Not the best witness we've seen, but at least she came across as real. And so I don't think that was as much a show that you're dispassionate, that you don't care, as much as just go up there. And of course they worked with her to have her prepared. But in the end, you're still working with who you have.
Every witness has something different about them. Some are super emotional. Some get really defensive. Some don't remember anything that happened. I think there are ways to talk to witnesses to make them a better witness.
I mean, we work a lot with people, and part of it is getting them to not be defensive.
And to just remember, like she talked about, do you remember when I talked to you before? Like lots of times lawyers will kind of trip you up that way. So it's like, I don't remember when I talked to you 2 years ago.
But did you notice? So one of the key things you have to do if you ever testify is get a hold of every prior statement or any testimony you've given. She knew exactly what the lawyer was talking about.
Yeah, she did.
She had read the deposition and she was prepared to answer those questions. The lawyer did a good job of trying to turn it into something, but the witness had read it. So it was a lot harder to catch her.
Yeah.
That preparation mattered because people hold it against you if you don't know what you said, even though, as you point out, I talked to you for 4 hours 2 years ago. Taking the time to know what you said matters.
Do you think her being a award-winning actress not only help her remember her lines, but maybe have that persona of feeling like you're being who you really are, but you would never know because she is a really good actor?
Personally, I think it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, when you're up there and you're someone who acts, the jury's going to be more suspicious. I have paid money to have me believe something about you that isn't true. You're so good at this. You're a professional. On the flip side, she is probably more comfortable in front of a jury, speaking in front of others. You know, even on a movie set, it's not a Broadway show, but there's so many people around that, you know, many of our clients take the stand. It's the first time they've spoken in public since, you know, 9th grade in front of a class of 20 people. And this is way more pressure. And so I don't think it actually helped. I think it can go either way. Now, we saw, to use a big example, 2 famous actors, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And Johnny Depp was beloved and Amber Heard was critiqued to no end. They're both professionals. Johnny Depp may be unusually talented, but in the end, it shows how I think it can go either way. 6, 7.
I think that all witnesses, especially if they're a plaintiff or defendant, are so passionate and emotional, especially if you're injured, connected to their case, that I do think if they take the time to read through everything, that they're probably going to remember it, unless they're completely lying. And if you lie, it's always hard to remember. But I don't think being an actress or an actor helps you to remember things for trial per se. But I do think it can help you maybe know how to act a little bit. Like maybe you're better at not acting defensive, or maybe you're better at showing emotion, or maybe that comes off, like you said, you're better at feeling comfortable in being around people speaking. And so maybe you look more genuine. But I do think that when our clients are injured, I think that it's like so passionate to them about, I was injured, I do remember my deposition, and I think that they don't have to spend too much time going through everything. They just do have to spend some time going through everything.
You know what time it is?
Yeah.
Verdict time.
Would the foreperson that the jury has selected please stand and state your number?
Number 19.
That right there.
Thank
the
you.
Foreperson. When you're on a jury, the foreperson, as lawyers looking at the jury, the foreperson is so important because that's the person who's going to fight. So if somebody stands up as the foreperson and we're like, oh man, like sometimes you feel like you know it's already going to happen.
Sometimes for the better. Like, great, that's who I wanted as the foreperson.
Yeah.
I believe group dynamics are such that you take a 10-person group, you don't have 10 equal voices.
Mm-hmm.
There are leaders in the group. And so the person who is elected as foreperson very often sways the verdict in their way. I've had juries go for and against me with or without the foreperson.
Mm-hmm.
But we win way more when the foreperson's on our side.
Yeah, I just feel like anyone who's going to be on a jury one day, remember to fight for what you believe.
But only if you believe what we believe.
I agree on that.
Will you please hand it to the bailiff, and the bailiff will bring it to me? Thank
Two
you.
on
You
the
may be
side
seated.
talking, they're having fun. They're like, we're on TV.
They're like, we had to be in trial this whole time.
This is something that people don't realize right now, and I do not know her, and I've never met her, and I'll probably never meet Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes.
Her heart, no matter how calm she looks, is beating through her chest.
Oh my God.
And the same thing's happening for her lawyer,
Yes.
and for the people at the other table.
Yes.
This is the hardest moment.
So hard. In fact, it is so hard that probably after like 20 years, I can't remember how long it was, but I was like, Mark, I'm not staying for these verdicts anymore. I'm like, call me and just let me know, because your heart really is palpitating, and then it's like slow motion. They come in and they're walking kind of slow, and then it feels like forever. Sometimes the judge can mess up a little bit what they're saying, and I'm like, I'm never going for a verdict. But the lawyers, you do have to be there for the verdict.
Someone's got to be there.
Somebody's got to be there to take the verdict.
Now you're trying to read the judge's eyes. How many sheets of paper on each verdict form?
See how long he's taking? Like I said, it's like slow.
Come on, man.
You're like,
Come on, Judge.
Kid.
Let's go, Judge. Come on. You've read it.
You will now have the clerk read the verdict.
Was Gwyneth Paltrow at fault? No. Was Gwyneth Paltrow's fault a cause of Terry Sanderson's harm? Oh, no, skip that.
There's just no response there.
Okay. Was Terry Sanderson at fault? Yes. Was Terry Sanderson's fault a cause Gwyneth Paltrow's... Did Terry Sanderson's fault cause Gwyneth Paltrow's harm? Yes. Comparative fault. What % of the fault do you assign to Terry Sanderson? 100%. Damages. What amount fairly compensates Gwyneth Paltrow for economic damages? $1. Nice. Signed March 30th, 2023.
See that moment? That's tough too. That's the side that lost.
Yeah.
They all just feel like they had their just punched repeatedly
Yeah.
by Tyson in his prime.
Those cases are hard. Even if he truly was not at fault, it's just hard for juries to go over that leap. It's just very hard.
All right, so I thought Gwyneth Paltrow came across as very straightforward. I don't think she came across as like the most, like a professional witness and everyone loves her, but she seemed pretty honest, straightforward, telling her story. I thought that at times the plaintiff also came across well, but when it got to talking about his injuries and the breakup with his girlfriend, it may have been totally true, but it didn't feel as true. And ultimately, people get up on the stand, they're in a tough situation. I'm sure their lawyers have prepared them. We didn't see enough of the lawyers or judge in these clips to have a strong opinion on that. I do have questions that could probably be answered if I watched longer. Be interesting to see, did they ever present objective medical evidence of his brain injury beyond just the initial concussion diagnosis? Because that's a critical piece. If you're claiming you broke up with your girlfriend, you stopped communicating with your kids, you stopped going dancing, your life was totally altered. You want more than just a neuroradiologist saying this happened. You want something to show the jury and go, this is why we know it's true. What letter grade do we give to Gwyneth and to the plaintiff?
I mean, I feel like it's hard because we only saw like different clips.
You can't do that. Give a grade, teacher.
No, I'm going to give them all C's across the board.
Wow.
Yeah, all C's.
I thought the plaintiff, from what we saw here, was about a C. I thought Gwyneth, from what we saw, was about a B. B minus, B witness. She didn't love being there. That was not her favorite thing. She didn't warm up to the idea. She came across pretty honest. Well, what'd you think about doing a Gwyneth Paltrow trial with me? All right, she loved it.
Interesting.
So listen, everybody, if you want to hear more of what real trial lawyers think of what's going on in trial, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, tell us what else you'd like us to talk about. And don't forget, if you look over here or over here, if you look somewhere near me, YouTube is screaming at you, check out this video. You're going to love it. Make sure you click it.